The market square of Zadran Station was always full of noise, but tonight it felt different. Bright lights shone down on a wooden stage where cages were lined up. Inside them sat frightened creatures, some tall, some strong, some weak. The smell of metal, dust, and fear hung heavy in the air. Traders shouted numbers, buyers waved credits, and the crowd laughed at the bargains. At the far corner of the stage, one small cage was pushed forward. Inside sat a tiny alien girl. She was no taller than a child's toy, her skin pale silver, and her eyes too big for her thin face. She hugged her knees and kept her head down. Chains rattled around her thin arms, though they were far too heavy for her size. The announcer, a fat alien with 4 arms, banged his staff on the ground. "Next, the cursed one, the mini alien girl," he shouted. His voice echoed through the crowd. "She eats little, works little, and brings nothing but trouble. Who will start the bidding?" The crowd erupted in laughter. "Ha! She is too small to work," one alien barked. "Worth less than a cleaning bot," another joked. "She looks cursed. Look at those eyes," a third hissed. The girl did not move. She had heard it all before. Her ears had grown used to the insults, but her heart still felt the pain. She pressed her forehead to her knees, trying to disappear. The announcer raised his voice again. "Come on. Surely someone wants her. A pet, a toy, even a joke for your friends?" But no one raised their hand. The silence grew sharp, broken only by whispers. "She was sold before, wasn't she?" "Yes, but returned twice." "Returned? Why?" "They say bad luck follows her. Ships crash, credits vanish, sickness comes. She is cursed." The crowd began to murmur louder. Some stepped back, as if even looking at her was dangerous. Others laughed, enjoying the cruel game. The announcer grew angry. His forearms flailed as he shouted, "10 credits! Who will take her for 10 credits?" No one answered. 5 credits. Just 5. Still no one. The girl lifted her head just a little. Her eyes glimmered like wet glass, full of sadness. She expected nothing. No one would take her. No one ever did. The announcer's face turned red. "Fine, 1 credit, and she is yours." The crowd exploded in laughter again. "1 credit? Even free, I would not touch her. She will curse your family for generations. Throw her into space. That's what she's worth." Tears slid down the girl's cheeks, though she made no sound. Quiet tears, because even crying had brought her punishment before. She hugged herself tighter, waiting for the cage to be pushed away again. And then it happened. A single hand rose in the air. The laughter stopped. The noise froze. Every head in the market turned. It was a human. He stood tall among the aliens, his dark coat dusty from travel. His face was calm, unreadable, but his eyes locked onto the tiny girl. His hand stayed high, steady, unshaking. The announcer blinked, surprised. "You, human, you are bidding?" The human gave one slow nod. The crowd gasped. Then the laughter returned, louder than before. "Impossible. The human wants the cursed girl? He must be mad." "Humans are strange, but this is foolish." The announcer grinned, his teeth sharp. "Very well. 1 credit from the human. Does anyone else dare?" No one moved. The curse, the whispers, the fear, none wanted her. The announcer slammed his staff again. "Sold." The cage was unlocked. The girl flinched as the guard pulled her out roughly. Her small legs shook, and she stumbled forward. The guard shoved her toward the human. The human bent down slightly, his hand steady as he caught her before she fell. She looked up at him, her wide eyes filled with disbelief. "Why?" she whispered, her voice so soft that no one else could hear. "Why take me?" The human did not answer. He only placed his coat gently around her shoulders and lifted her into his arms. His face remained calm, but his grip was firm, protective. The crowd jeered and mocked as he walked away. "Foolish human, you'll regret this. She will bring you nothing but ruin. Mark my words, you'll return her too." But the human did not look back. He walked through the crowd, silent and steady, never lowering his hand, never letting go of the girl. And in that moment, whispers began to spread like fire. A human bought the cursed girl. A human raised his hand and never put it down. The night of the auction would not be forgotten, because for the first time in her life, the tiny alien girl was not left behind. The market was behind them now, but the sound of cruel laughter still followed in the human's ears. The crowd had shouted their warnings, thrown their insults, even spat at his boots as he walked away with the tiny alien girl in his arms. Yet his hand had never lowered. His step had never slowed. The girl, wrapped in his long coat, pressed her small face into his chest. She could still hear the voices in her head. Cursed. Worthless. Return her. Her small body shook as if she was cold, though the coat was warm. The human said nothing. He carried her through the dim metal corridors of Zadran Station, past the neon lights of bars, past gamblers shouting at tables, past shadowed corners where smugglers whispered deals. Everywhere they walked, eyes followed them. Some eyes were curious, others mocking, but most were filled with fear. Whispers rose again. That's him. The human who bought the cursed one. He won't last long. Poor fool. The girl heard it all. She clutched the coat tighter. Finally, she whispered, her voice tiny, trembling. Why did you do it? The human's boots echoed against the steel floor. His face remained calm, but his eyes softened when he looked down at her. Because no one else did, he said simply. Puck, girl blinked. She was not used to answers like that. She lowered her head again, unsure if she should believe him. They reached the docking bay, where ships waited in silence like sleeping beasts. The human's vessel was small and worn, its paint scratched, but it looked steady and strong. He walked up the ramp and entered. The doors hissed shut behind them, cutting off the noise of the station. For the first time, there was silence. The human set her down gently on a padded seat. She was so small that her legs dangled above the floor. She looked around nervously, her big silver eyes wide. This is your ship? She asked softly. The human nodded. It will be your ship too if you choose to stay. Her head snapped up. Stay? With me? Her voice cracked in disbelief. But you don't understand. I bring misfortune. They were right. She clenched her fists tightly. Bad things happen around me. Ships crash. People get sick, even families. She stopped, her voice breaking. They always return me. The human crouched so his eyes met hers. His gaze was steady, unshaken. I do not believe in curses, he said quietly. I believe in choices, and I chose you. The girl's breath caught in her throat. She wanted to believe him, but all her life, no one had chosen her. Not truly. Her lip trembled. You'll regret it, she whispered. The human shook his head. No. I will regret nothing. That night the human gave her food, warm soup, soft bread. She hesitated at first, afraid it might be taken away. Slowly, with trembling hands, she ate. Each bite made her eyes widen as if she had never tasted food that was not thrown at her. The human watched in silence, not rushing her, not mocking her. When she finally stopped, he placed a blanket around her shoulders. You are safe here, he said, safe. The word sounded strange in her ears, almost foreign. She curled up on the seat, blanket wrapped tightly, and for the first time in years she let herself drift into sleep without fear of being dragged away. But outside the ship, Zadran Station did not forget. In the shadows of the docking bay, alien traders gathered. Their voices were sharp, angry. That human ruined the auction. He insulted the market. He will learn his mistake soon enough. One of them leaned closer, whispering, We must tell the syndicate. They will not allow the cursed one to live free. The others nodded. A message was already being sent through dark channels across the stars. Inside the ship, the human sat at the controls. watching the endless black of space through the window. His hand tapped the console, but his eyes kept drifting to the small girl sleeping behind him. He thought of the laughter, the insults, the warnings. He thought of the way her eyes had shined with despair. Many called him a fool. Maybe they were right. But in his heart, he felt no doubt. He had seen something in her eyes that the crowd had missed. Not just fear, not just pain, but something fragile, something worth protecting. And he had made his decision. He would protect her, no matter the cost. Hours later, the girl stirred awake. She rubbed her eyes and whispered, "Where are we going?" The human's voice was calm, steady. Away from those who would harm you, to a place where you can breathe without fear. The girl hesitated. Then for the first time, she spoke words she had never dared to say before. Can I really stay?" The human turned, his hand resting firmly on the console, his eyes meeting hers. "Yes," he said. "As long as my hand is raised, you will never be alone." The girl felt something stir inside her chest, a warmth she had never known. She pulled the blanket tighter, her eyes glimmering not with tears of sorrow but with the faint spark of hope, and somewhere deep inside, she began to believe him. Outside, unseen ships stirred in the darkness, already hunting. The Syndicate wanted her back. The galaxy did not forgive so easily, but the human did not know fear. His decision was made, and he would never turn back. Because sometimes, a single hand raised against the laughter of the world could change destiny itself. The docking bay of Zadran Station had seen many strange things, but none as strange as this. A human walking away with the cursed girl in his arms. That night, the market was still buzzing, long after the ships had closed their doors. Traders drank and shouted, their laughter sharp and cruel. Did you see his face? Calm as if he had won a prize. A prize? Ha! More like a death sentence. The cursed girl will break him, just as she broke the others. Yet, beneath the laughter, there was fear. Some spoke softly, looking over their shoulders. Humans are reckless, you know, but what if he survives? What if she truly is more than they say? Silence. Do not even suggest it. She is a curse, nothing more. But word spread quickly in the galaxy, faster than ships, faster than trade, faster than light. By the next morning, every corner of Zadran Station whispered the same story. A human bought the cursed girl, and his hand never fell. On the human ship, the girl woke to the soft hum of engines. The blanket still covered her shoulders, warm and safe. She blinked slowly, as if unsure she was awake. The human sat at the controls, his eyes scanning the stars. He turned slightly when he noticed her stir. "You slept?" he said. She lowered her gaze. I don't sleep easily. Bad dreams. But here." Her voice trailed off, unsure if she should finish. The human said nothing, only gave a small nod. For him, that was enough. But the girl's heart still carried weight. She had heard the whispers her whole life. Even when hidden in cages, she heard guards mutter about her curse. Now she imagined the whole galaxy laughing at the human's foolishness. "Do you know what they are saying about you?" she asked softly. The human's hands did not stop moving over the controls. "It does not matter." "But it does," she said, her voice rising for the first time. "They'll say you are weak. They'll say you are a fool. And when things go wrong, they'll blame me, always me." Her small fists trembled. "It always happens." The human finally turned, meeting her wide, frightened eyes. His voice was steady, calm, but strong. "Let them talk. Whispers are only wind. Wind cannot break me." The girl stared at him, her mouth slightly open. No one had ever spoken to her like that before, but outside the whispers grew stronger. On distant moons, criminals passed the story around campfires. On space stations, merchants traded rumors as if they were currency. And in the high towers of powerful alien lords the tale reached ears that frowned at its meaning. One such lord sat in a chamber of black stone, his long fingers tapping the arm of his throne. His eyes glowed faintly as he listened to his servants. The human bought her. He has taken her aboard his ship. The lord leaned forward. The cursed one still lives? I thought she was destroyed. No, my lord. The traitors tried many times, but she survives. Always survives. The lord's voice was low and sharp. And now a human keeps her? Foolish. Dangerous. Send word to the syndicate. She must be erased. Back on the ship, the girl tried to hide her fear, but she could not stop asking questions. Why don't you leave me? You could drop me off at the next station, pretend it never happened. The human looked out the window at the endless stars. Because that is what they expect. And I do not live by their expectations. She tilted her head. You are not afraid of me? No. You don't believe in curses? No. Then why? She whispered, her eyes shimmering. Why, me? The human leaned back in his chair. Because when I saw you in that cage, you did not beg. You did not scream. You stayed silent even while they laughed. That takes strength. Her breath caught. No one had ever called her strong. Not once. You are small, the human continued, but not weak. They fear you because of what you might become. That is why they whisper. Not because you are cursed, but because you are dangerous. The girl's heart pounded. Dangerous? She had only ever felt helpless. But in his words, she heard something new. A possibility she had never dared imagine. Outside, ships began to move. Silent hunters sent by the syndicate already traced the human's route. Inside, the girl sat quietly, staring at her small hands. They had always felt too fragile, too powerless. But now she wondered, what if he was right? The whispers of the galaxy had always been cruel, always heavy. But now a new whisper grew inside her heart, not of fear, but of hope. And hope was a dangerous thing. The stars stretched endlessly outside the window, silent and cold. The human's ship drifted through the black sea of space, engines humming softly. Inside, the girl sat curled up on the padded seat, blanket wrapped tight around her small frame. She should have felt safe. The ship was quiet and the human sat calmly at the controls. Yet her heart still raced. The whispers of the galaxy echoed in her ears. Cursed, worthless, dangerous. Her eyes shifted to the human. He was different from anyone she had ever known. He had not mocked her. He had not feared her. He had simply lifted his hand and claimed her, but she could not understand why. That night, as the ship floated through the endless dark, the girl woke from a dream. Her small body trembled, her eyes wide. She pressed her hands against her ears as if trying to block out voices only she could hear. The human noticed. He stood slowly, walking toward her. Another dream? She nodded quickly, then shook her head. Not dream. Memory. His brow furrowed. Memory of what? Her lips trembled. She wanted to stay silent. Every time she had spoken of it before, people had turned away. But something in the human's steady eyes made her whisper the words. My home. The human crouched near her, patient, waiting. Her silver eyes glistened with fear and sorrow. I was not born in a cage. I was born in a palace. The human's eyes narrowed, but he did not interrupt. She pulled the blanket tighter as if it might shield her from her own words. There were towers of crystal and halls that glowed with light. My people, they said we were blessed. But then the fire came. Ships filled the sky. They rained death on us. Her voice cracked. They killed everyone. My mother, my father, all of them. Only I was taken. The human's jaw tightened. Taken by who? Her breath shook. She whispered, the name like a curse. The Syndicate. The human had heard the name before. A shadow empire that ruled through fear and blood. Their power reached across systems. Their influence hidden in every market and every port. To defy them was to invite death. They told the galaxy I was cursed, the girl continued. They spread the lies, said my family's fall was my fault, said I brought ruin, and the galaxy believed them. Tears rolled down her pale cheeks. I was no one. Easier to call me cursed than to admit the truth. Easier to laugh than to fight. The human's hand clenched at his side. He understood now. This was no ordinary child. This girl carried the blood of rulers, the blood of a people wiped away. And the syndicate had built a story to erase her existence. Why tell me this? He asked gently. Her eyes lowered. Because you should know. They will come for me. For you. You can still throw me away before it's too late. Her voice broke, almost begging. Please, do it now. Don't make the same mistake others did. Don't keep me. The human studied her carefully. For a long moment, silence filled the cabin, heavy as stone. Then he spoke. You think you are a curse? Her head dropped. She nodded. The human leaned closer, his voice quiet but fierce. No. You are not a curse. You are a threat to them. That is why they hide you. That is why they spread their lies. They fear what you might become. The girl blinked. Fear? Me? Yes. His eyes were hard now, burning with resolve. Because even small sparks can burn down empires. Her lips parted. No one had ever told her that. Not once. For years, she had believed the whispers, carried the weight of them, until her back bent under it. And now this human, this stranger, was telling her something different. You don't understand, she whispered, her voice weak. They will never stop. The syndicate does not forgive. They will hunt us, both of us. The human straightened, his gaze sharp. Let them come. Her breath caught. You're not afraid? He shook his head. I've seen war. I've seen death. Fear does nothing but chain you, and I don't wear chains. The girl stared at him. Her heart felt torn in two, half filled with fear, half with something new. Hope. Dangerous. Burning. Hope. Outside the ship, far across the dark, syndicate raiders were already on the move. Silent vessels traced the human's path, guided by whispers and bribes. Their orders were clear. Retrieve the girl. Erase the human. But inside the ship, the girl sat quietly, her tiny hands gripping the blanket. She could still hear the laughter of the market, the cruel voices of the galaxy. Yet now another voice echoed louder, the human's voice. You are not a curse. You are a spark. And for the first time, she wondered if he might be right. She lifted her eyes toward him, silver orbs shining in the dim light. If I stay, she asked softly, what will you do? The human's hand rested firmly on the console, steady and unshaking. Protect you, he said, no matter the cost. And somewhere deep inside her fragile heart, a secret began to shift. The secret of who she was. The secret of what she might one day become. The ship drifted through silent space, engines purring like a resting beast. The girl sat near the window, staring at the endless stars. Her tiny fingers pressed against the glass, as if she could touch the light. But deep in her chest, fear gnawed at her. She had spoken the truth about her family, about the syndicate. She knew they would come. They always came. The human, however, looked calm. He adjusted the controls, checked the radar, and sipped from a metal cup. His steady presence made the ship feel less empty. Still, the girl's voice trembled when she whispered, Do you feel it? Feel what? He asked. The hunt, she said. Her silver eyes darkened. They are searching already. The human glanced at the radar. Nothing, just empty stars. But he didn't dismiss her words. She had lived under their shadow all her life. If she felt danger, it was real. Hours passed. Silence ruled. Then, an alarm. The radar blinked red. Small dots appeared, moving fast. Too fast. The human's jaw tightened. They've found us, The girl's chest tightened. Her small body shook. I told you. They won't stop. The human rose from his chair, checking weapons on the wall. Then let them come. Minutes later, space tore open around them. Dark ships slid out of the void, their hulls painted with the Syndicate's mark. Like vultures, they circled, closing in. The girl gripped the seat, her heart racing. Her small voice cracked. They're here for me. If you give me up, they might spare you. The human loaded his blaster with a click. His eyes stayed on the ships. I don't make deals with vultures. The comm crackled. A cold voice filled the cabin. Human, you carry something that does not belong to you. Hand over the girl and you may live. Refuse, and you will die screaming. The girl's breath caught. She turned to the human, whispering desperately, Please, they'll kill you, just let me go. But the human's reply was sharp, steady. No. He pressed the comm button. You want her? Come and take her. The Syndicate ships answered with fire. Blazing bolts of plasma streaked through the dark, lighting up the stars. The human's ship rocked violently as explosions struck the shields. Sparks showered across the control panel. The girl cried out, clinging to the seat. Fear clawed at her chest, memories of burning palaces and falling towers flooding her mind. But the human moved like iron. Calm. Focused. He gripped the controls, twisting the ship through the firestorm. Bolts skimmed past, some striking, others missing by inches. Hold on, he said, voice steady, as if this chaos was nothing new. The ship dived, engines roaring. Enemy fire chased them, flashing through the black like angry comets. The girl squeezed her eyes shut, whispering, Please, not again. Not again. The human's hands danced over the controls. With a sharp pull, he twisted the ship into a roll, dodging another barrage. His eyes scanned the radar. 5 ships. Too many. He flipped a switch. Hidden cannons slid from the ship's hull. With a thundering roar, he fired back. Bright streaks of light tore through the dark, striking one Syndicate vessel. The enemy ship erupted in flames, breaking apart in silence. The girl's eyes shot open. She gasped. You can fight them? The human gave a small, grim smile. I've fought worse. But more fire rained down. 2 Syndicate ships, closed in, their guns glowing red. The human banked hard, but the shield screamed under the impact. Warning lights flashed across the console. The girl stumbled toward him, her tiny voice desperate. We can't win. They're stronger. The human glanced at her, his voice calm even as alarms wailed. Strength isn't everything. He pulled another lever. The ship's engines flared bright. With a sudden burst, the vessel shot forward, slamming both enemies with the shock wave. They spun out of formation, buying precious seconds. The human's eyes narrowed. He fired again. Another Syndicate ship burst into wreckage, 3 left. The girl's heart pounded. She could barely breathe. She whispered, Why risk everything? Why for me? The human's gaze stayed fixed on the fight. Because everyone else looked away, I won't. His words struck her deeper than any blast. For a moment, even the battle faded, replaced by something stronger inside her chest. Hope. But hope didn't stop the next strike. One Syndicate ship locked onto them, unleashing a barrage of missiles. The human yanked the controls, weaving through explosions, but one missile clipped the hull. The ship shook violently. The girl screamed, falling to the floor. Smoke filled the cabin. Warning sirens howled. The human coughed, gripping the console with bloody knuckles. Hold tight. He dove the ship sharply, plunging into an asteroid field nearby. Massive rocks drifted like giants, silent and deadly. The Syndicate ships followed. The human twisted between the asteroids, using the rocks as cover. Plasma blasts shattered stone around them, sending debris flying. Sparks rained from the ceiling. The girl crawled back to the seat, clutching it with shaking hands. One enemy ship clipped an asteroid, exploding instantly. The shockwave rattled the field. 2 left, the human muttered. The fight raged through the stone labyrinth. The human's ship weaved and fired, striking another Syndicate vessel. Fire swallowed it whole. One left. But the last ship was fast, too fast. It locked onto them, chasing close through the field. The girl's eyes widened in terror. They won't stop. They'll never stop. The human's eyes narrowed. Then neither will I. With a sudden move, he spun the ship behind a massive asteroid. The enemy rushed past, searching. The human fired all cannons at once. The syndicate ship exploded in a storm of fire and shattered metal. Silence fell. The girl sat frozen, chest rising and falling in quick breaths. Her wide eyes stared at the human. You fought them all," she whispered. The human leaned back in his chair, blood on his knuckles, sweat on his brow. But his voice was steady. "And I will fight again. For you." Her lips trembled. No one had ever said such words to her. In that moment, she realized something frightening and beautiful. The galaxy whispered she was cursed, but here, with this human, she was something else. Protected. The ship floated in silence after the battle, drifting among the broken remains of syndicate ships. Smoke still lingered in the cabin, the smell of burnt circuits mixing with the metallic tang of blood. Warning lights blinked across the console, but the engines still hummed. The human sat at the controls, shoulders heavy with exhaustion. His knuckles bled where he had struck the panels, and his breaths came deep and slow. Behind him, the girl sat curled in her seat, blanket wrapped around her like fragile armor. Her wide silver eyes had not left him since the fight ended. She had watched him face the syndicate's fire without fear, had heard his steady voice promise to protect her. Now, silence pressed between them, heavy, expectant. Finally, the girl spoke. Her voice was soft but sharp like breaking glass. "They won't stop. Do you know why?" The human turned slightly, his brow furrowed. "Because of you." She nodded slowly. "Yes, because of me. But not for the reasons they say." Her small hands trembled as she pulled the blanket tighter. "I told you I was born in a palace. That was true, but I did not tell you whose palace." The human waited, calm, steady. She drew in a shaky breath. "I am the last child of the Alindra line. My mother was their queen, my father their king. My people were rulers of 12 worlds." The human's eyes narrowed, but he said nothing. Her voice cracked. "The syndicate wanted power. They feared the Alindra. So they killed my family, burned our worlds. They destroyed everything except me." Her silver eyes filled with tears. "I was too young to rule, too weak to fight. So they did something worse. They chained me, dragged me across markets and spread lies. They called me cursed, so no one would help me. They made the galaxy laugh at me, so the galaxy would forget who I was." Tears slipped down her pale cheeks. "I am not cursed. I am hunted. Because I am the last heir." The human leaned back in his chair. He had heard whispers of the Alindra in old war stories, stories of a people who ruled with wisdom and light, stories of their fall, swallowed by syndicate fire. And now, sitting before him, was the last living child of that empire. He looked at her, his face unreadable. "So that is why they fear you." She lowered her head. "They fear what I could become. If I live, if I rise, I could claim the throne again. I could unite those who still whisper the Alindra name in secret. That is why they must keep me in chains." Her voice broke, raw with pain. "But I can't. I am too small, too weak, too broken. They destroyed me before I ever had a chance to be anything." Her small fist clenched as tears fell freely. "Do, you see now? You risked your life for me, for nothing. I can't fight them, I can't win, I can only bring you death." The human stood slowly. His boots thudded against the metal floor as he walked toward her. She looked up, trembling, expecting anger, disappointment, maybe even the moment he would finally cast her aside. Instead, he crouched before her, his steady eyes locking onto hers. "You are not nothing," he said quietly. You are the last of a line that once ruled 12 worlds. You carry a fire they could not kill. That is why they fear you." She shook her head. "But I can't." "You can," he interrupted, voice firm. "Because you survived. They tried to erase you, and yet here you are, alive, breathing. That is strength." Her lip trembled. "But I don't know how to fight." He leaned closer, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. "Then I will teach you. I will fight beside you until you can fight for yourself." Her chest heaved with shaky breaths. Hope flickered in her silver eyes, small and fragile. "Why? Why would you do this for me?" His eyes burned with quiet fire. "Because I have seen what happens when evil goes unchallenged, and I will not stand by while the galaxy laughs at a child who survived what no one else could. You deserve to live. You deserve to rise." The girl pressed her small hands to her chest. For years her heart had carried only fear and shame. But now, something new bloomed inside. Something she had almost forgotten existed. Belief. Not in curses. Not in syndicate lies. Belief in herself. She wiped her tears with trembling fingers. "If I stay with you, will you still protect me, even when they send more?" The human's hand rested firmly on her small shoulder. "Yes. No matter how many come, I will not lower my hand." Outside the ship, the wreckage of syndicate vessels floated like broken shadows, but across the galaxy messages were already racing faster than light. The cursed one lives. The human protects her. The Alindra heir has not fallen. The syndicate lords sat in their black towers, fury burning in their eyes. They had failed to erase her, and now the whispers they had buried began to rise again, spreading through smugglers, rebels, and forgotten colonies. The cursed girl was no curse at all. She was a spark, and sparks had a way of lighting fires. The stars outside the window glowed faintly, scattered like diamonds in an endless sea. The human ship sailed quietly, carrying two souls who had just survived fire and death. The girl sat on the padded seat, her blanket still wrapped tightly around her shoulders. But something inside her had shifted. She had spoken the truth at last. About who she was. About the Alindra blood that ran in her veins. And the human had not turned away. Still, her hands trembled as she whispered, "Now, you know I am hunted, you know I am the last heir, do you regret saving me?" The human's gaze stayed firm. His voice was steady like iron. "No, I regret nothing." Her lips trembled. "But the syndicate will send more. They will never stop." "Neither will I," he said. The girl's silver eyes widened. She wanted to believe him. But she had lived too long in cages, too long in fear. "You cannot fight forever," she whispered. "They are too many." The human leaned forward, his eyes sharp, unshaking. "Then you must learn to fight too." The words struck her like a storm. "Me? Fight?" She shook her head quickly, fear flashing in her gaze. "I cannot, I am too small, too weak." "You are small," the human admitted, "but not weak. Weakness is believing their lies. Strength is choosing to stand even when you are afraid." The girl's throat tightened. No one had ever spoken to her like that. She had always been told she was cursed, broken, useless. Yet, this human spoke as if she was something more. He rose from his chair, moving to a metal chest bolted to the wall. With a click, he opened it, revealing weapons, tools, and training gear. From inside, he pulled a small staff, lightweight and simple. He held it out to her. She stared at it, her hands trembling. I don't know how." "Then I will teach you," he said. The first lesson began in the ship's narrow training bay. The girl stood barefoot, clutching the staff with clumsy fingers. Her knees knocked together, her breath sharp with fear. The human stood across from her, calm and steady, holding his own staff. "Your enemies will be bigger, stronger, faster. But size is not everything. Focus is." He tapped his chest. Strength begins here in the heart. She nodded shakily. Now, he said, try to strike me. Her eyes widened. Strike you? I can't. You can, he interrupted, and you will. Try. Hesitantly, she swung. The staff wobbled in her hands, missing by a wide gap. She flushed with shame, dropping her gaze. See? Useless. But the human only shook his head. No. Wrong word. Not useless. Untrained. Her eyes flickered up. Again, he said. For hours she tried. Each swing sloppy, each strike clumsy. She fell more times than she stood. Sweat dampened her silver hair and tears burned her eyes. At last she dropped the staff, collapsing to her knees. I can't, she cried. I will never be like you. I will always be weak. The human knelt before her, lifting her chin, with one firm hand. His gaze pierced through her tears. You survived when others did not. You carried truth inside you when the galaxy called you a lie. That is not weakness. That is strength. Her lips trembled. You do not need to be me, he said quietly. You only need to be you. And that is enough. Her chest heaved, breath by breath. Slowly, she picked up the staff again. Her grip was still shaky, but this time she held it tighter. Good, the human said, again. Day after day he trained her, not just with the staff, but with her mind. He taught her how to stay calm when afraid, how to breathe when her heart raced, how to see openings when enemies tried to corner her. Sometimes she failed. Sometimes she fell, but each time the human's steady voice pulled her back up. Stand. Again. Do not give up. And each time she rose. One night, after training, the girl sat by the window looking at the stars. Her body ached, her arms sore, but her heart felt different, stronger. The human approached quietly. You are learning. She looked up at him, her eyes uncertain but glowing faintly with pride. Do you really think I can fight them? Yes, he said simply. Because I will not stop teaching you until you believe it yourself. She hesitated, then whispered, Why do you care so much? I am just one girl. The galaxy does not care if I live or die. The human's eyes softened, though his voice stayed firm. The galaxy is wrong. You are not just one girl. You are proof that they failed to erase everything. You are hope. And hope is dangerous to those who rule by fear. Her throat tightened. She turned her gaze back to the stars, whispering, Then I will try. For you. For my people. For myself. The human's hand rested lightly on her shoulder. Good. Then this is my promise. I will stand with you until the end. No matter how many enemies come, no matter how dark it becomes, I will not lower my hand. Her silver eyes shimmered. For years she had lived in cages of fear and lies. Now, for the first time, she felt the weight of chains beginning to break. The human's promise was not just words. It was a shield. And maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of something greater.